What's going on, Viking fans? This is Justin in Rochester with Purple and Gold for Days. And in the background at TCO Performance Center, they're listening to the old Bold and Thugs and Harmony special. No, not the first of the month, but Crossroads. Because once again, they are at the crossroads having to decide what in the world they're going to do. Are they going to just run it back yet again? Or is it finally time to let go of some of the legacy players that they have held on to for, let's just call it for what it is, a little bit too long? The Bill Belichick attitude is simply this: get rid of a player 1 year early versus getting rid of a player 1 year late. And unfortunately for the Minnesota Vikings and for some Vikings fans that have a tendency to hold on to players that they love, it's going to mean that we're going to have to say goodbye to what we like to call sacred cows. But if the Vikings are going to do anything, they're going to have to make some tough choices. They're already almost $25 million over the salary cap, and that's just to get compliant. Not to have any money to bring in any other players to try to make this team better coming off of a 13-4 season, just to get cap compliant. Now, yes, you can give extensions to Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson and smooth out some of their cap hits and free up some money. You could even extend Kirk Cousins if you wanted to. But the simple fact remains is if that is all you do, then you're just bringing back the same team that you had last year. Yes, they overachieved last year. Not fraudulent, overachieve. Fine line between the two. But at the end of the day, they had a lot of breaks going their way. Now, everybody's going to be a year older. Everybody's going to be more expensive. So you're going to have to make some tough choices. Let's start with the obvious. Eric Kendricks, we love you. You are a Ring of Honor member 5 minutes after you retire. But at the end of the day, your time has come and gone. He looked old. He looked slow. Granted, some of it is he had extra responsibilities of being the quarterback of the defense, getting the coordinator signals and telling everybody where to be. And maybe that slowed him up just a step or two. But the simple fact of the matter is he's a replacement level player at best. And unfortunately for him, he can be cut to save the most money with the least amount of dead salary cap space. So unfortunately, as much as we love Eric Hendricks, I'm sorry, but he has got to go. It's not that we don't love you anymore, but the reality is we got to make some cuts somewhere. Dalvin Cook, number 6 in the league rushing. We all know that. And yeah, some of it was the offensive line. Give him hardly anything to work with. But running back is just not a position that you give money to on a second contract. Heck, they're probably not even going to bring Alexander Madison back, who you could get cheaper than Dalvin Cook. But at the end of the day, they have brought in enough running backs and have enough depth at that position to where neither Cook nor Madison, unfortunately, should be back on this team next year because we just don't have the space for them. It's a luxury they can't afford to have right now. Patrick Peterson, love the guy, cunning and guile, Hall of Famer. But simply put, if he wants anything more than veterans minimum, the Vikings can't afford him either. Yes, I would love to have Patrick Peterson on this team. But Patrick Peterson at this point of his career is a guy that you have when you've already got a halfway decent defense built. Patrick Peterson would continue to be expected to be the CB1 on this team. And I'm sorry, he just doesn't have that at this point. I'm not saying that he should retire and that he doesn't have anything to offer. You go to a different team where you're just expected to be a guy, he can still be great. On this team, on this defense, he would be expected to be the best cornerback. So what does that leave you with defensively? Well, one more, Harrison Smith. He still got some skills. And I know last year he didn't live up to the standard of Harrison Smith that we all know and love, that he got to be during the Mike Zimmer era, but his cap numbers are going to be $19 million, $21 million, and $22 million over the next 3 seasons. I can listen to maybe restructuring Harrison Smith and keeping him around. And then that brings us to hometown boy Adam Thielen. We all know his story, where he's been, where he's come from. Heck, the guy lives in a house right now that's 3 minutes from the house I grew up in. We understand he's a hometown guy. But the simple fact of the matter is he's not just lost a step, he's lost a step and a half. Yes, from 2015 to 2020, he was definitely a top 15 receiver. And you know what? Apparently, according to some, Adam Thielen's not happy with his usage. Adam, I'm sorry, but I think you were like the 35th targeted wide receiver in the NFL. And that's with Justin Jefferson getting a boatload of targets. I understand that you think that you can still play at the level you've played at before. But simply put, injuries have taken your abilities away from you. There'd be times where you'd catch a ball and run backwards 5 yards just to get a full head of steam, just to barely get back to the point where you were when you caught the ball. Now, I'm not saying that Adam Thielen should take a pay cut. I'm not going to say that any player deserves to take a pay cut. They all deserve as much money as they can get playing in this league. So I will not begrudge Adam Thielen or any of the other players that I've mentioned for saying, hey, thanks, but no thanks. I'm going to test the water somewhere else to see what kind of money I can get. It's time for fans to accept, and it's also time for Ziggy and Mark Wolf to accept that we can't just keep running this team back over and over again, just paying the same players as they get older. if we want to take the next step, if we want to improve on Kevin O'Connell's 13-4 season, we're going to have to make some tough choices. And at the end of the day, it is just a business. Hit the button here and here. You know what to do. In the comment section, let me know, who should we keep? Who should we get rid of? Who should we try and trade? As much as I love these players, I cheer for this team. I just want to see the Vikings win a Super Bowl before we die. There was one other that I didn't mention there, a certain number 8. For that, we'll just skol to the next episode.